In this video, I want to talk a little bit about textbooks. First of all, whether or not you need to go and buy extra textbooks, or is your one school textbook fine? Do you need extra textbooks? And then also, if you do get extra textbooks, what to buy? What is good? What will really help you? Now, I'm sure there's millions of good books, but I'm going to recommend a few that I've worked with um, that I really know inside out, and that I've seen this is valuable information, and this is valuable. There's two things you need to do when preparing for maths, and the first thing is you need to study what the things you must know. You need to look at the content. You need to know the formula. You need to know the rules. You need to know what the formula stands for, things like that. So you need the theory. That's the first very important thing when preparing for maths, and the first very important thing you must consider when taking a look at a textbook. The second important thing you need to look at is the quality of the questions, because you need to prepare questions that will be similar to your final exams. The main idea for grade 11 and 12, even in grade 11, your main goal is to succeed in grade 12 final exam. That is what we are focusing on. So keep those two things in mind, the theory, the content, and then secondly, the quality of the questions. All right, now I'm going to recommend a few books. The first one is this Study and Master Study Guide for grade 12. For maths, it's based on the CAPS curriculum, which is the curriculum you're currently doing in South Africa. And I love this textbook. This is actually one of my favorite ones, my favorite textbook. This textbook has very valuable summaries and information. The content is not very broadened out. It's summarized. So this is a great book to use for revision. If you're doing work for the first time, it might be a good idea to use your school textbook, because the explanations in the school textbook is usually more elaborate. In the study and master study guide, it's really a summary of all of the things, but it's a great tool to use for revision, to see whether you know all of the stuff, whether you've got all of the stuff, because they quickly, short and sweetly tell you what you need to know. So this is a very great textbook to work with. And then also what's nice is the exercises in this book is absolutely exam standard, final exam standard. They do prepare you in the discussions. They do prepare you in all sorts of funny things that they typically ask in exams. And in the exercises, there's always one or two simpler questions. And then there is quite challenging questions, like really challenging questions. And the book has worked examples and solutions, which is nice. And something else that's also nice, you will see in some of the videos for grade 12 that I do, I work out these mini tests for 50 marks at the end. I just want to find the end of a chapter here quickly. Here it is. All right. At the end of every chapter, they have 3 tests: a knowledge and routine procedure, which just check, do you know all of the stuff you need to know about this chapter? And it's very basic, straightforward questions, typically similar to what you see in your textbook in school. And then it has a complex procedures and problem solving test, which is usually quite challenging, and there's all sorts of extremely problematic problems. And then they have a breakdown and content as per final exam test also at the end of every chapter, which is then combined all of the grade 10, 11 and 12 work that you need to know. Usually this is easier than the complex procedure and problem solving test, because this test looks at all of the extremely difficult things that they can ask you. This final exam breakdown test has a combination of easier and difficult questions and previous knowledge and things like that. And what's nice about this textbook is they have answers and memos at the back. I have noticed some errors in the answers. They're not always 100% correct, which is a bad thing for a textbook. But textbooks are set up with by humans, and there are space for human errors, so that's fine. But there are some mistakes that I've picked up in the answers at the back. Yes, but what's nice is they have errors, they have answers, and not only do they give you the answers, they give an elaborate memo with all of the steps so you can see exactly how the question is supposed to be done. And the tests at the back of the textbook has marks allocated also, so you can see how much a question is supposed to be worth, and that prepares you quite well for the final exam. Right, so this is a very, very good book to have if you want to buy an extra book to prepare yourself for the final exam. Then these books, the Mind Action series, these are Afrikaans textbooks, but you also do get them in English. The Mind Action series is the one that most of you use in school. I know most of you already have these books in school. I absolutely like this book also. It's a very, very good textbook, written very well. It explains what's happening very well. There's nice summaries. So for content-wise, this is an excellent book to use. Exercise-wise, problems and things like that wise, I won't go with this book. It's a good place to start off. That's why they use it in classrooms. To see, once we've done something, to just start building some exercise and do some practice on what you did now. But if you only work out the exercises in this book, it does not prepare you for the final exam, because the final exam is on a higher standard than the questions in these books. So this is a great textbook for learning in the classroom, and for doing homework from when you first start out with a topic for the first time. But definitely not your last resort for exercising. You do need more practice than the things given in this book. And for that reason, if you work with this book in the classroom, this is an excellent classroom book. And I really like how they explain, and you can really make all of your summaries and notes from this book alone, and double check them with the Study and Master, maybe, if you have that. But this is absolutely sufficient for making your summaries without that even. But I will recommend getting an extra textbook to just do extra exercises or prepare, or even just get past exam papers and practice that, just to prepare you for what you can expect, because this book, I wouldn't say is really on exam standard with its questions always. For some of the questions it will prepare you, but for final exam there are more challenging questions and complex procedures, like the one in the test 2 in this book, in the Study and Master, which is not really asked here. So might be a good idea to get something else. If you only want an extra book for questions, you've got this book, you make all of your notes from this book, and you really just need some extra practice questions on a higher standard, I do recommend this book. You do get them for more than one subject. This is also Afrikaans, but you do get them for English. Die Antwoordreeks. These books has great questions in. You will see for the grade 11 you get a 2-in-1 and a 3-in-1. The 2-in-1 has questions and answers in it, like the grade 12 one here. And the 3-in-1 has notes, questions, and answers. Unfortunately, for the grade 12 one, I can't find a 3-in-1. I don't know if it's just the bookshop where I buy them doesn't stock them, or they're not available. But the questions in this book is really of a high standard, and there's very, very much. If you need to do on one topic, if you struggle with a specific topic and you really need to do quite hundreds of extra exercises, this book's got them. It really has many problems on one topic. There's really quite a few things you can actually go and practice in this book, with memos, which is nice. And so far, I haven't worked out millions of the things in this book, but so far I haven't really picked up errors in the memos, in the questions. So that's also quite nice. This is a great book to use for extra practice. And even if you have the 3-in-1 one, you can also use the 3-in-1 one for summaries and practice, and you have your memos and everything. One con, if I look at pros and cons, one con of this textbook is that a lot of the times they give the answers. Sometimes they give the questions here in the front and the answers at the back, and sometimes they give I have seen some of the exercises that has the exercise question, and just after the exercise they've got the answers of this exercise question. And then, well, if you don't have restraint to not look at the answer, it doesn't really help you to do the exercise of the answer standing right here. I've seen that in the grade 10 book of this series. I haven't picked that up in the grade 11 and 12 books yet. But that might be a con of this book, is that sometimes they do have, I'm not talking about examples, sometimes they have exercises, and right after the exercise they have the memo for that exercise, which doesn't really help much because you need to practice on your own. All right, and their page numbers is a bit strange, but it's not that difficult to figure out anyways. They numbered the pages. For chapter 1, they numbered it 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, and then for chapter 2, it's numbered 2.1, 2.2, etc. Right, and then something else. I know also most schools do order these books, the exam paper books for the students anyways, and most of you might have this already. If you have this, please don't let it lie on your desk and you have it and it just lies there and you think the teacher never works out of it. Sometimes the teachers they order it and they don't get the time in the class to really go through this with you, and then you just have the book and don't use it. Even if the teacher don't go through it, take the book, go and exercise from this, because this is actual past exam papers. So not even comparing standard, there's no notes in this book, it's just papers with memos, and the memos actually look like the departmental memos. The question papers are departmental question papers from previous years, compiled. So this is a great book. You can see if you open paper A1 in this book is the Gauteng September 2015 paper. Paper A1 and A2 is actually the paper 1 and paper 2 of Gauteng last year. The B1, B2 is the Northwest September exam. The C1 is a DBE model, so this is an exemplar paper, also set by the department. And these are also exemplar papers, and standardization project, but these are actual papers. Even if it's an exemplar paper is just something to practice to prepare you for the final exam, which is very similar to what you can expect in the final exam. Right, so this is a great book, and the papers in all of these books are numbered A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2, where all the ones is paper ones and all the twos is paper twos. So A1 and 2 is a paper 1 and 2 of one set of papers. B1 and 2 is the next set of papers, paper 1 and 2. And what's nice about this textbook is if you're busy with one topic, you can go in the beginning of this book and just go check. Say for instance, I'm busy now working with functions. I go search for functions and graphs, which is a paper 1 type question, but I go search for that in the index here, and then it tells me in paper A1 you can work out questions 6, 7, and 8. In paper B1 you can work out question 3 and 4. In paper C1 you can work out 4, 5, and 6. So then I can start at paper A1 and go to question 6, 7, and 8. So this is paper A1. There it is. Paper A1, questions 6, 7, and 8 will be questions on functions. So you can take topic for topic, whatever you are busy on working at the moment. You work out those questions, and if you're done work them out, you can actually go and mark them from the memos and see whether you are fine with that topic or not. What I usually do is I go work out 2 papers questions, first work them out without looking at the memos, and then I mark those 2 papers together and see how many do I get. And if I get below 80% or 90% for these questions, then I go back, I study again, and then work out question C1. See if I'm fine with it. If I get below 80 or 90% for this question, then I go study again, go to the next, and the moment I get 80-90% above that for 2 or 3 questions in a row, then I can stop, because then I know I'm fine with this work now. Then you don't need to even work out all of the papers, but hey, if you work out all of the papers, that just prepares you better for anything you can expect anyways. So that really does help. These books are great. If you have them, please use them. They're not that expensive, depending from bookstore to bookstore and probably from province to province. They're about 70 to 100 rand in that direction, so they're not that expensive. These books are also not that expensive. They're just a little over 100 rand per book, depending on whether you buy the 2-in-1, 3-in-1, and I'm guessing again from bookstore to bookstore they might vary a little in price. These books are quite expensive though. These books are really expensive, and these, I can't remember what I paid for this one actually, but I don't think the Study and Master is that expensive also, but the Mind Action series is quite an expensive book. Alright, so these are only a few books that I work with constantly and that I know really well, and that I know are good books to use for extra practice. There might be more out there, more books, and you might have some other book that you use that's really great, and that's fine. But if you haven't bought any extra books and you are wondering what books to buy, these are all very good options to buy for extra practice. Alright, so I hope that really helps you out a little bit.